Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 266. Well, how you doing? I trust you and yours are all doing well. Fall is kind of blowing out the door. Winter is coming. Been to a number of places lately where winter is desperately needed. The moisture. Seeing some huge changes in our wild heritage because of the way the weather has been unfolding. So I hope for their sake, if not our photographic, that, well, we get right to it and we get some moisture right now. Well, thank you for taking time to listen. Also, some of the great emails which make up this week's podcast. So I thank you all for your generous support and outreach. I love every one of those emails. I answer them myself. So keep them coming, guys. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com, who have been cranking out the business. I've heard these supply chain problems, but I don't know how Bedford's doing it, but they are keeping me, at least, with all those things I need from Nikon and Delca and everybody else. So thank you ever so much. Some of you have noticed that the Moose discount is not a little box anymore on the website. Not to fear, it's still there. You will see it in a different way. Same big, generous money back from Bedford's. Just had to change the way in which they were doing it. But Bedford's, they're still supporting us. They're still supporting you with great prices, great inventory. That Moose discount. Most orders, no sales tax, and over $99, free shipping. So make sure you check them out, bedfords.com. And remember to tell them Moose sent you. Let me get right to this week's episode. Might run a bit long, sorry. Got some, I had a lot of emails, a lot of questions to pick from. I tried to pick ones where, I wouldn't take into an hour podcast answering them because there's some real hot topics here. I'm going to start off one that's pretty simplistic. Comes from Beth. Is there a best tripod anymore? I read how Gitzo used to be the tripod, but now I see thousands of options, including those at Costco. What's a girl to do? Well, Beth, great question. Gitzo, no doubt, still produces a great tripod, but there are a lot of options out there, as you pointed out. A lot of great ones. I am still using the robust ones from B&H, which I absolutely love. They are carbon fiber. They're incredibly well built, really reasonably priced, and for me, work incredibly efficiently in the field. But I think more importantly, looking at what is the best, is what's best for you and your photography. So, for example, I like to have a tripod that has minimal number of leg sections. So in other words, I'm about 5 or 8. I like to go with just 3, except for my big giant tripods, which have 4 or 5, which go to 8 feet or 12 feet. But I like just 3 leg sections myself. It keeps the tripod small enough so it can go in my rolling bag and go in my checked luggage, yet tall enough that when it's set up with my gear on top of it, I'm not stooping over to look through the camera. That's a very important criteria. Next important criteria, I think, in a best tripod, Beth, is one where you have a simple latch at the top. A lot of tripods do now that when you push it out, the leg basically goes out flat, permits you to put the tripod flat very quickly. In fact, that's probably my number one way in which I lower a tripod. I don't lower 3 leg sections. That takes way too much time. I simply just push on that latch, kick that leg out, and then I just go down to the elevation I want and I shoot. Then I'm ready to go back to normal shooting. I simply fold the leg back into place and away I go. I don't mess with the leg links at all. But yeah, I don't think there's just one best tripod as there was just 10 years ago. Some great stuff out there. Just look for the minimums, and I think you'll do just fine, Beth. Let's take questions and let's go for the swing of the pendulum. Let's go to the other side. Jim asks, is the D6 obsolete now? Woo! That was a jump, Jim. I mean, seriously. With the announcement, not a delivery, the announcement of a Z9, the D6 come obsolete? I don't think so. Jim would say further on in the email that he noticed that I was selling and sold my D6, so he took it from that the D6 had become obsolete. Nothing could be further from the truth, Jim. In fact, I still have a D6 sitting right here in front of me. Maybe more to the heart of the question, perhaps, maybe, is DSLR becoming obsolete? In other words, camera bodies with a mirror box. Even that reach for me, I would not say is, by any stretch of the imagination, obsolete. Could for some people's photography, that mirror be not what works for their photography? That is very possible. Jim went on to say that he noticed that he heard that I had gone completely mirrorless. And that's correct. I have at this point, and if you go back just a couple of years ago, you probably would see my saying that probably didn't see that coming. I didn't. But now that I'm fully invested in the mirrorless, the problem solving it permits. And what's that? Well, the main thing for myself is a switch of a lever. I can shoot stills or video and never take my eye from the viewfinder. That's the important little caveat. I never take my eye away from the viewfinder. So with a DSLR, you can't look through the viewfinder while you're shooting video because the mirror is locked up while you're recording it. With a mirrorless camera, there's no mirror, so no mirror to lock up, so you can look through the viewfinder the entire time you're shooting the video. That, for me, is a biggie. What else about mirrorless? Well, at this point, I still haven't seen or shot or anything to do with the Z9. I just go on two things. One, total faith and knowledge of what Nikon presents when it comes to tools that really solve problems in my photography. They've always put the tools out there that allow me to do this for over 40 years. So I have complete faith that the Z9 will do the same thing. The Z6 II I love as is, and the Z9 is just going to be just a sweeter ride. So you got that, and then you have the lenses, and I tell you, every time I shoot with a 14-24, I just marvel at this ultra-wide lens that doesn't flare. I couldn't say that about the F-mount 14-24. I couldn't say that about the 13 or 15 from 30 years ago. So all of that, for myself, make me want to shoot just mirrorless. It doesn't make the D6 obsolete. It's a camera that produces a fantastic file that has unlimited buffer and just is sexier than hell. I mean, it's everything you want in a camera. So no, Jim, the D6 is far from obsolete, and it's far from being replaced. It's just another possible tool for the photographer who needs that kind of tool. All right. I think I'm going to go with the question from Janice next. She says, I'm so confused. What telephoto should I buy or wait for my wildlife photography? Oh, wow, Janice. To be honest with you, I don't have that answer. I've had a number of people ask me about the new mirrorless 400 2.8 Z lens with a built-in 1.4. It's only been announced, folks. It's only been announced. It is not been released. It's not available for, purchase. I don't know anything about the lens. Um, Janice asked about the 100 or 400 for the Z. Again, I've not seen it. I have no idea what it can or can't do. So, is there a telephoto lens you should buy now or one you should wait for? Wow, I don't have that answer. I just learned, and I haven't even had a chance to verify it after coming back from Yellowstone backcountry, that Nikon added a 800 millimeter to the roadmap for Z lenses. Somebody just came up and said, "Hey, are you going to sell your old 800 and get the new one?" It's like, I didn't know there was a new one, let alone know it's available or the price. But my original or my immediate reaction was, no. The 800 I have is a spectacular lens. Now, if I was to be buying a lens right now, as in this week in November, and I needed it for a job, I wouldn't wait for something that might be coming. Would I buy what's available right now, knowing what's coming? Too many times I have turned and rented a lens for the interim rather than just putting money out to answer that question. I wish I had the answer for you, Janice, other than to say you need to look at your own photography. You could take a file and you could go into Photoshop and crop a certain percentage and take a look and say, hey, this is what I need for the image size I want. Look at that increase from the original focal length you shot and postulate out what focal length you might want. But I don't have the answer for you. There's a reason to be confused. The one thing I would say is I wouldn't wait. There's too many opportunities, too many photographs coming around, the corner for you if you want to keep shooting, to wait for lenses that might be out in the next 6, 8, 12 months. That's a lot of photography to go unphotographed, waiting for that possible lens. Well, I left the last question, which I thought was, to me, the most intriguing, from Phil. To edit what he said. He said, with sky replacement, neural filters, is camera craft really so important anymore? Hey, Phil, that's a great question. For those who are not fully aware of what Phil's referring to, Photoshop has had for a little while now sky replacement, where if you didn't have the sky you like to photograph, Photoshop would replace it for you. Now, the new neural filters, a lot of people don't even know that was dropped in Photoshop. They haven't done a whole lot of promoting of it yet, but you might have seen what was on the social circuits last week. A photograph, a vertical shot of mountains and trees shot kind of just any time during the year, and they went to the neural filters. They clicked on landscape, clicked on snow, and they painted the scene as if it was shot in full snow. And the neural filters put snow on the mountains, snow on the trees, and real quickly you'd say, wow, it was shot in the wintertime. So Phil's question, I think, has a little bit of relevance in that AI is coming in to do a lot of things. AI, for the moment, has brought the incredible masking that we now enjoy in Lightroom and Adobe Camera Raw, which is an incredibly powerful tool that does a lot to, clean up an image or make up for discrepancies and deficiencies, I should say, in our capture devices. But getting to Phil's point, is camera craft so important anymore? I think it is incredibly important, even more so than maybe it was. I wrote a blog post last week that brought in a number of emails. What is the goal of our photography? Is the goal to get it right when we go click, or get it right when we go on the computer and go click? And everybody, I honestly think, needs to answer that question for themselves. I think part of, at least for myself, the photographic reward is when, after doing everything I think I need to do, which includes getting to the right place, getting up early in the morning, driving, having the right gear, right mental and physical tools, that when the photo gods put it out there in front of me, I can bring that treasured story back and share with others without having to do other than a click in the camera. And that could be very much my old school ethics and work ethic, craftsmanship. It could be just the challenge of not much different than fly fishing, where you tie that artificial fly on a hook and you present it just right, and you get a wild creature to spend a little time on your end of your rod with you. It's the same as for me seeing a band of bighorn sheep and understanding a little bit about their basic biology and put myself in the right place at the right time, so when they come close on their own terms, the photograph unfolds. It's the same basic, I think, premise. And it really depends on where you come from as a photographer, a storyteller, as a way of preserving your world and sharing that memory with others. I don't think that sky replacement and neural filters are the evil to start with. They're just another set of tools that, depending on what you want to do and how you want to do it, they might be perfect or not. It's up to you. But when it comes to camera craft, there's over 200 years of photography history out there that shows that camera craft really does, at the end of the game, really kind of trump everything else. It's really quite important in that preserving and sharing of memories. But Phil, I don't have that answer for you or for myself at this point in time. But I think it's a great question. And I think all these questions this week are great. I want to thank everybody who send them in. I know these particular podcasts are real popular. I'll try to get some more in there as we keep moving the ball forward. But keep asking questions of yourself, of your craft, of others, and you will move your photography forward. Because remember, to make every click your story.